Hello, my continuously creative quilting friends. Welcome to day 24 of Shelter at Home. I think yesterday I said 22, but it was 23. I'm so confused. It's someday, what day, any day, right? That's how we feel. The days are just kind of blurring together, and went on a walk this morning with a friend, socially distant, and we saw some groundhogs and we were like, we know how you feel, guys. So funny. But anyway, it's 2 o'clock here on Donna's Design Threads in Colorado. And we are starting out this week. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about half square triangle blocks and different quilts that you could make with them. And so I want to continue on with that a bit and talk more about all the different things you can make with it and some ways that you can construct that block. So this is where did I put that one I wanted to show you? Oh, well, let's see. Here it is. Okay, this is a half square triangle block. So this one is 4.5 inches unfinished. This is a perfect size because you can make it out of charm packs, which are 5-inch squares. And I'll show you one of those in a second here. So this is half of your square is one fabric diagonally, makes a triangle. The other one's the other way, the other color. So this was my inspiration for these these colors. Like you can see the one on the wall behind me. We'll talk about that one more in a little bit. But this is a charm pack. There are 42 5-inch squares, and they're all different shades of this really nice neutral. This is just a really pretty line, and usually I like really bright fabrics. They just really make me happy, but I also love the elegance and the kind of the luster, which per se, of this neutral palette as well. I think it looks really, really nice. And so this is the inspiration for this quilt and the blocks that we're going to be working on today in a minute. But I wanted to show you some more half square triangle quilts. The one behind me is kind of similar to this one. This is one that I made, try not to get any glare on it, for a cousin for a wedding. And I absolutely loved the way that it turned out, and she loved it too. It's really a really pretty blue purple. So I'm going to do kind of somewhat the same thing with this quilt here. If you go on, let's see if I can turn that off. There we go. If you go on Pinterest and look and do a search for half square triangle quilts, there are a lot out there and give really good inspiration. I love Pinterest for that. So I just wanted to show you a few that I have on my boards like this. These are just all made with half square triangles. And let me show you the love this one. Isn't that really cool? So you can see that there are so many things that you can do with half square triangles. There's a really pretty one. It's all in a matter of the way that you lay them out. So do that sometime when you're sitting there scrolling through the socials. Do a search for half square triangles and you'll get, oh, actually, I actually did make this one too. This isn't my picture, but I'm getting really bad glare there. I made this quilt for our pastor a couple Christmases ago. So do that, get some inspiration that way. Pinterest is great for that. But let's talk about how my favorite way, this is my favorite way to make the half square triangle. Basically, whatever size you want the block to be unfinished. Like I said, this one was 4.5. You add like 3/8 of an inch to your square, and you're going to get 2 blocks out of it because you're going to have 2, a light and a dark, and you'll get 2 squares out of it. But so 4.5 inches plus 3/8 is 7/8. So you want to cut them at 4 7/8. That's why I just go up that next 1/8 of an inch, because it's really difficult to accurately cut at the 1/8 inches. And so I just cut it up at 5, which is why I said it's perfect for a charm pack. You already have your 5-inch squares cut and ready to go. So you pick your light, you get your 5-inch dark and your 5-inch light square, or you could do a medium and a light, medium and a dark, that kind of thing. But the main thing is you definitely want contrast. So again, I'm going to use this sandpaper board that I showed you guys a couple weeks ago. I really like this, that it holds the fabric on there. It's kind of hard to see because it's dark, but it's nice and has that texture, kind of grips it a little bit. So sandpaper board is nice, not absolutely necessary, but it is nice. And then my favorite tool for making half square triangles is this Quilter's Magic Wand. And I just ordered some of these to put on my website. I have them listed on the website. If you guys want to order one, they're $5.95, but really invaluable. So what you do with it is you line up, you can see, let me show you the ruler again. See that little line that goes down through the center? It's like etched in there. So this is a 1/2 inch wide. So that line that's etched in there is at the 1/4 inch mark. So you have a 1/4 inch from the edge of the ruler to that mark on both sides. So you line up that etched line with the corners of your block. Okay. And you put on your glasses so you can see. Okay, so I have those lined up. And then you are going to mark, where did my white pencil go? Oh, there it is. So then you're just going to draw, and this is again why the sandpaper board is nice, because it doesn't get the edge of your fabric flipped up. So then you just draw a line. Now, I'm right-handed, so of course it's easiest to draw it that way. To draw the other one, I can either switch hands, or I can go like this, or I have this really nice little rotating board. This is what I like to do. Just flip it around, double check. Oh, see, it shifted a little bit. So reline up those corners and draw that second line. And that one, it must have shifted while I was drawing the line. Okay, so now you have your lines marked. Now these are going to be your sewing lines. If you don't have the 1/4 inch ruler, this magic wand, I love that they call it that. The other thing you can do is take any ruler that would reach corner to corner and then draw your line right through the center from point to point like that. And if you draw the one line, then you're going to sew a scant 1/4 inch on down this side and a scant 1/4 inch down that side. So like I said, you're going to get 2 blocks out of this. So that means you need to make 2 seams. So whether you do it this way or whether you do it this way, this is nice because they're drawn right on there. So then you're going to put right sides together, line up your corners, and then I always stitch in just like 1 thread over. So I'm going to show you this one. So I do the one side, I just lift it up, flip it around. You can see I was kind of chain doing this, so I have another one on here. Clip that off for a second. And then I just put my foot back down, keep going. I don't even snip the threads. Just keep going, sew down the other line. Okay, so I want you to see on this one that I did before what I'm talking about, how I just stitch about 1 thread over from the line that I drew. Now, if we're going to cut this and then we're going to have to trim it. If you want to skip the trimming and you cut your square at the 7/8 or 3/8 inch mark, then you want to really make sure that you do that scant, that you sew on that inside to make it straight. I don't personally like to do that because I just probably don't sew exactly straight or get them situated just straight, and they're always a little cattywampus. So this is definitely my preferred method. Takes an extra couple steps, but it gives me really nice, precise squares. Okay, so now I have that. Now we need to cut this in half. And you can either set it down, set your ruler down and rotary cut, or I usually just take my scissors. It's just a little bit quicker because that's just the seam allowance that you're cutting. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. So I generally, so I'm going to move my sandpaper board out of the way. I generally just cut it with my scissors. So now you can see I have my unfinished, or now I have to trim, but I have 2 half square triangles that look exactly the same from my those 2 blocks. So here's another set that I have pressed. I usually will press to the dark side. So I have that pressed. Now it's just a little bit bigger than 4.5 inches. So we have to trim it down. My favorite ruler for trimming down are the bloc-loc rulers. They have this nice little groove in them to line up that seam. So you line up the diagonal line with your diagonal seam. And then you can see how much I just have little tiny bits to trim off, like hardly anything at all. And again, I'm going to use this nice little rotating mat. So I can just trim that side, turn it, trim that side, turn it, and it just makes trimming them really quick and easy. So if you don't have the rotating mat, you know, you can do the side and the top, pick it up and turn it, just make sure you have it all realigned. So you can see here that, I mean, this is all I had to trim off, just even the side, like just tiny little pieces. But now I have an exact 4.5 inch square. So that is my absolute favorite way to make half square triangles. The bloc-loc rulers, they do come in all sizes. So whatever your project's going to be, you know, this is the 4.5 inch one, but they have them in all sizes. These I don't sell, sorry. They're a little bit extra spendy. And again, like most of the fun tools that we use, they're not absolutely necessary. You can just use any, you know, smaller size ruler, as long as it has that diagonal line down the center, and then you can just line that up with the center seam at your 4.5 inches. I usually will do a little bigger, trim one side, flip the block, and do the other side, and really line that second cut up at 4.5 inches. So that's the half square triangle technique that I love. I'm going to share some other techniques with you guys tomorrow and possibly the next day, but for sure tomorrow. But in the meantime, I want to show you a couple of more ideas. I know I showed you like all quilts, but so this is, if you do 16 of them and do a 4x4 block, there are a lot. I was going to say a bazillion, but maybe not that many, but there are a lot of different layouts that you can do. This one's just your real simple. They're all going the same direction, but like magic, we can just rotate them. Like we could do something like this, rotate every other one here. And then you've got like rows going diagonal. Let's see. Oh, okay. And then we'll flip this one this way. And this way. That one down there. And you have a totally different looking block. So that gives you an idea how versatile they are. Let me show you another one. Okay, so the center, we're going to make the center, this is kind of like how the one back behind me is, but we're going to make the center, in the center a diamond shape. Okay, so I got that. And then I'm going to rotate all of these to go in towards these corners, all the darks to go in like that. And that will give you a totally different looking block. Let's see, that one's already there. Flip that one and flip that one. Turn that one in and that one in. Nope, this one's not right. There we go. Good. See, isn't that a fun block? Or we could make this one the center instead of the diamond shape. we could make it a pinwheel. Let's see. I always have to do pinwheels. There we go. Now it's a pinwheel. There we go. So that just gives you a little bit of idea of the versatility of that block. Okay, so I showed you those two. I'm just going to show you these ones already done because just for time's sake. Same thing though, 16 half square triangles, just changed in different directions. They're all pinwheels. That's really fun. That's fun little diamond, odd shaped diamonds there. Or you can make them look like flying geese. Or opposite flying geese, I guess. I like that look. So here's a quilt I did. Again, these in my electric quilter, just all over pinwheels. How fun is that? Or you could make a chevron quilt. Really fun, modern look. You can do that with just half square triangles. Or these are kind of like every other chevrons. So those are just some, again, really fun extra things you can do. So this quilt I'm working on is super easy layout. I'm gonna tilt this up just a little bit. Or not.